I don't think it's going to let me.
Did you click it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where's the schedule? It'll say live when it's, and there's a ton of people in here already.
Where does it say how many people are in there? It doesn't yet.
It doesn't, but I can just tell from the. That's where it should look like, just like that.
It says it.
It's live. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
I don't know how well this is going to work, and I may have to change my connection here, but it has just been a challenge. We had the internet people out here today again, and they said they're having some type of issue with the towers, and that maybe I should try also replacing the routers. So B ordered $500 in routers. We got them all replaced. But I'm looking at my signal and it says it's not great. So we'll do all we can, I guess, right?
I may be looking at new internet providers.
Maybe. Hey, Farm Ranch Homestead was Helen, good evening. Greatest name on the internet.
Bubble Up Plum.
In the house, good evening. Silver Lining, how are you, my friend? Starla, how are you? I hope all is well. I hope you're feeling better. The beautiful Wes Wesley's in the house. I know you guys got a lot going on. Karen, hello, hello. Gypsy, what's up, my friend? Lisa, good evening to you. LJC, how are you? One Step Closer, how are you, my friend? Gizmo, welcome. Carrie Davis, how's Arkansas? Jane, howdy to you. Aljo, good evening. Nidos, how are you, my friend? Let's see here. Jane's in the house. Indiana Mike, ahoy.
Ahoy.
I know you all can see me.
Well, you know you said Mike. Indiana
Mike, yep. And I said Nidos.
Carrie Davis.
Okay. Barbara, good evening to you. How are you? David Strom, good evening. Vicky Pullen, good evening. Let's see here. Yeah. It says 5x5. It's weird. It's like my internet, when I turn it on, says good bar. Just like that.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
Gone.
Black screen. So we don't know.
I don't know what to do. Stan Guthrie, good evening. I might get through the good evenings at least, huh? Dana Rydell, good evening to you. My buddy Mo's in the house. American Roots Farm, good evening to you. We were just talking about you today.
It was all good.
ACM, hello. Bonnie, good evening to you as well. I think I got everybody. I think. Oh, yep. J3GS Farm, how are you? Jamie, good evening to you. Again, guys, I apologize for my internet issues tonight. We are trying to rectify it. It is they said there's some issue at the tower. I've had problems all week this week and last week.
And is it getting worse? Or it's about the same. It's just like on sometimes, off sometimes.
Yeah, Wednesday I had a whole bunch of meetings and I got kicked out of a couple of really important meetings. And so I told B on Wednesday, I said, this can't happen anymore. Fix it. And so
I tried. I reinstalled the routers.
Yep.
Or I got new routers and reinstalled them.
Yep.
And I was on the phone with them for quite some time, the internet providers, trying to get it tweaked, working. But I got it and it says that they're working. It says they're working just fine, but the screen on the computer goes black and we don't know if we're freezing for you guys. We don't know how long it'll stay connected.
Yeah. Well, but until then, Redneck, good evening to you.
Yeah.
Right. I prepared my PowerPoint slide today, like I always do, and you guys probably don't know this, but I come up here and spend about 2 or 3 hours every day, or the day of the live, and I read every Friday, and just try to put together, things that I'll find you guys interesting in. But I'm not going to load the power slide tonight because I'm already struggling with.
Will it take?
I don't know. I mean, I've been trying to upload it for an hour, and it just won't go. So we're just going to have to make it work. But I'll talk through it, so it'll be all right. Before we begin tonight, I thought it would be good to just tell all you prayer warriors out there, to be thinking about those people up in Iowa and Minnesota, and even in Nebraska. There's some pretty horrible flooding going on, and people are losing their homes. And, so I know we have a lot of friends out there in that area. And so let's make sure that, we're sending prayers to them or thoughts to them or whatever it is, you do, good vibes to them. And, hope that the loss isn't so great, and hopefully people can rebuild, because I'm actually looking on it on my other screen. You guys can't see, but I have another screen with my PowerPoint that I was going to load. And
is that Iowa?
Yeah. So that first picture is actually the dam in Minnesota. And actually they got a picture of the house actually falling off. See it? It's falling off into the river, which is, super, super sad. I also had uploaded a picture that I wanted to show you guys so bad of bee weed eating, but
why?
Because it's so funny. If you guys, I wish I could just share the picture with you guys, because bee's weed eating, and she has managed to connect a sling to the weed eater, but it's a single point sling from my gun room.
Oh.
So she took one of my single point slings and clipped it
to the weed eater.
To the weed eater.
Yeah, I couldn't find the one that came with it. It looks the same though. It's the same.
Know if you guys heard any of that.
He was making fun of me.
Yeah.
Weed eating with the carrying that thing around is pretty heavy. So if I have something that kind of helps hold it up, then
it's just sad, all those people, who are suffering. And Midwest Ribeye, how are you? I hope everything's okay in your neck of the woods. I know you're kind of up there a little bit. Gizmo said, I spoke with the berry farmer in Wisconsin. They lost all of their strawberry crop in Sunday storm. Okay. Yeah, and to make matters worse, as far as the internet connection tonight, we have a storm rolling in. We're in a tornado watch right now. And so just as we get going, anyway, I'll do my best. But for all of you ladies out there, if you steal your husband's single point slings, you can clip them to weed eaters and things and make your job easier, right?
Yeah. What do you think? That's just for a firearm?
I think that's what it's designed for. Yeah.
Because you got it at a firearm store?
Because that's what I bought it for. It was its intended purpose, and it was put in a particular place so that it was there.
But it could be used for anything.
Well, how would you like it if I used your measuring cup to... Well, yeah, I don't know if they can hear me or not, but it says, Karen says, C-Tag, God doesn't want you picking on B. He blacked you out. Yeah, hopefully it'll load here pretty quick. There we go. I think we're back. I was mentioning, Karen said in the chat, she said, C-Tag, God doesn't want you picking on B. He blacked you out. Mm-hmm. Well, but again, how would you like it if I took your measuring cup out of your kitchen to go measure concrete or something?
That's food, though.
Oh, Redneck says my wife could take her single point sling off her own gun. David wants to know how we get news. So I use a lot of alternative news sources, but I also like to research the actual countries, as I keep up on what's going on in Russia and Israel and, some of them other places. And so I search lots of different places. Actually, tonight I was going to talk a lot about the debates, and I took a lot of sites because I think what the liberals are saying right now about, the debate and all of those things is more relevant than what the conservatives are saying. But yeah, I know I'm blanking out, guys. I'm so sorry. There's just nothing I can do about it. Absolutely nothing. I wish there was. Newsmax, etc. No mainstream news at all. I do not watch TV at all, says Starla. It hurt last night to watch CNN. Yeah, somewhere there's an AR with a weed eater sling. Yeah, somewhere. I know right where that is, Mo. Yep. Vicky Pullen says, I use a small Ryobi battery powered weed eater. It is very lightweight. Use a 4 or 6 hour battery to get decent runtime.
Oh my gosh, for 6 hours?
Yeah. Which she's saying is a 4 or 6 hour amp hour battery. That doesn't mean it lasts 6 hours.
Oh, I'm thinking, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's a.
Yeah. I've looked at the Milwaukee one a couple times in Home Depot thinking I'd get B1, but she loves her weed eater. She knows it well.
It has a saw on the other end of it.
It's got a big saw blade on it, and she, you can start it right. Like you don't have a lot of problems with it.
No.
It just kind of does its thing, right?
Yeah, it is it gets heavy after a while, and after a day's use of it, my shoulder just hurts really bad.
Yeah. Starla says, I actually thought CNN was pretty fair last night. And what does that tell you?
I don't know. What does that tell you?
Oh, that's big.
If you think that it's
Big.
fair.
Well, if you remember the debates from the last time, right? I mean, it was totally, attack Trump, give Biden the questions ahead of time. I mean, it was totally pinned towards, Biden. And last night in the debates, they were actually fairly decent. They didn't cut Trump off. It didn't seem like it was quite the same. And I think there's a message in there. I think, and I've been saying this for a long, long time, but I think they're turning on Biden. And there are so many people now, and even on the left, I wish I could share my PowerPoint with you guys, but there's so many people on the left talking about he's got to be replaced, he's got to be replaced, he's got to be replaced. And I've been saying this now for a while, right? You've heard me say it how many times on a live, right? Many, many, many times that they're going to turn on him. And so I think this might be the Democrats' way of putting it out there in the mainstream, put it out to everyday Americans that Biden's incompetent to be president.
Oh, okay.
In an effort to get ready for this.
What do you think about it?
I think
that it was more fair.
Kind of what I've always said. I mean, I think that Biden is incompetent, and I think Trump's a narcissist. So I guess we will. But hey, TB, welcome. Yeah, Wilma Rock says, I too, Democrat coup, install an unelected president. Well, there's also a big thing going on. Actually, Camille Harris can also. There's the Starla was saying right there, can invoke the 25th Amendment, and then that makes her president, right? And Nito says, I believe the 25th Amendment may be talked about now. It's being talked about. Go to CNN, go to MSNBC, there's a whole bunch of them. And actually, Chip Roy, the Republican, is putting forth a proposal in the House for Harris to invoke the 25th Amendment, which then makes her president. Which, oh my gosh, could you even imagine, right? Hey, Potpourri for Life, how are you? Welcome. Starla Doak says the only way they replace Biden is they do the 25th Amendment. Well, I don't think they necessarily are looking to replace him in the presidency. They're looking to replace him as the nominee and the next candidate. Gizmo says, B, which Biden did you think it was?
I didn't see any of it.
Yeah. What was so crazy is I picked a whole bunch of pictures of Biden up today. I put it in our PowerPoint. Like if you look down here, maybe I can get B to see it here and then she can tell you. Where is it? Right here.
Oh my gosh.
I put this up. I wish I could just share this with you guys.
I wish you could too. Holy cow. See? You can't tell me that liver spots don't go away from day to day. Come on.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, they're different guys.
Yeah, Camilla president, what a disaster. Yeah. TB says, stay free and vigilant, fellow freestaters. And I think that's really the point, right, TB? I mean, we can get so distracted by, the stuff that's going on, or we can get focused on the things that we're doing to keep us freer. And I do pay attention to the news every Friday. I don't pay attention much to it during the course of the week. I only really come in here on Fridays to get ready for the live, catch up on everything that's going on, figure out, what my thoughts are on it, and, see if I can stump B on something.
Yeah.
But I really don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. So I would really encourage you guys. See, I got good signal now. Look at that. If I could keep that good signal.
Oh, there it went.
Then it's gone. She had it for a second, then it was gone.
Yeah.
But David says that he has a stunt double. Well, B has been telling me
sure.
B has been telling me for a long time they're not the same ones. And different earlobes or different this or that.
Well, they have different noses. They have different look, the chin on that one. Look at that chin. My goodness. That one looks way younger.
Starlet Oak says they cannot replace him as the nominee unless he willingly agrees to bow out. Well, the Barack Obama is meeting tomorrow morning with a bunch of the Democratic leaders with Joe Biden, and they could easily talk him out of it. I mean, I've been in, corporate situations where you talk somebody into resigning, right? You do?
Yeah, right back.
Okay.
Right back.
Okay. Apparently she's leaving me and she's
Just
had
right
enough of the shenanigans. Hey, Mandy Garrett's here. So hello. I just got back from dining out. Glad to be here. Mandy, I am glad you're here. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Poper Flight says, no, just enough of what is going on. Our country is FUBAR prepped like never before. Yeah, I can't even hardly fathom that we're in this situation that we're in. Hey, Mississippi Homestead Journeys here. We'll be cool. How are you? The instigator, Hippocrates, is in the house. Says there's no nominee to replace yet. Won't be one until the convention starts and someone is nominated. Well, he's a presumed nominee, but great point, instigator. They are tapping the wrinkles out as much as possible so you don't notice he has had a stroke. I'm concerned what our foes may be planning between now and the election, says Nidos. RN, welcome, says hello from Central Alabama. Yeah, I think it's a complete shit show, and I still think it's just absolutely amazing that the best this country has to offer is Biden and Trump. Maybe my expectations are a little too high. Now I'll tell you guys though that, and I've said this before, Trump was a much better president. He did way more for our country. One More Rock brings up a great point. Good possibility for no election. They choose not to have a primary. Well, I got a question for you guys since we're on this topic. So what do you think it would take? What kind of event do you think it would take for the American people to accept no election? What would have to happen for the American people to be okay with it? Kelly Ireland, good evening to you. Chochi, good evening to you. Says her internet's been off since last night, been on and off since. Yeah, I can't keep my internet up, and I've had great internet forever. Like I've never had these problems I've had this last month. But man, I just can't, for some reason, I just cannot keep it going, They're talking about Josh Shapiro for president and Gretchen Whitmer for vice president. Taylor Swift threatened to cancel concerts. Good. Yeah, RN says World War III. I think that's a really interesting point. So let me ask the question another way. Let me ask it a little bit different. What do you guys think it would take for the American people to accept, much like they accepted the jab, to that level, right? What do you think that they would accept the draft of sending their sons and their daughters away to combat? What would have to happen for it to be accepted in the populace? Helen says, I didn't watch the debate. I don't like to waste my time, so I went to sleep. And you much better use of time. Potpourri says, laugh out loud life. As we know, it is now over without her concerts. Yeah, no doubt, huh? No, that would be the event that people would accept the canceled election to prevent those canceled concerts. It's going to have to be something big, right? It wouldn't be okay with no election for any reason. Well, to you, Kelly, but what I'm asking is the soccer moms and the NASCAR dads. What event would it take for them to buy it? It's much like the draft. What event would have to take? What would it take? Because there's a couple things that I find super, super interesting about this. And I've done a whole bunch of reading about this and a whole bunch of debating, in my own brain about it. But the fact of the matter is Russia, China, whoever it is, it's very unlikely that they could wage war. I'm talking about conventional war on American soil. And there's a lot of reasons for this. It's supply chain lines. It's a long distance. It's the terrain of the United States. There's so many things that makes it hard. They could obviously nuke it or, whatever it is. But to me, the only thing that would allow the American people to be in favor of a draft of both the sons and their daughters would be something that happened on our own home front, right? And yeah, something on our home soil, as Kerry Davis says, or something bigger than Pearl Harbor or even 9/11. It's going to have to be something gigantic. And I find it fascinating. And Mo, I think, hit it perfectly on the head right there, which he says an alien invasion. And you guys might laugh at this, but I do not think it's a coincidence that they come out and they say, hey, we're going to draft everybody. And then the next day, all of the mainstream media channels start carrying stories about an alien invasion. Do you think the powers that be could actually pull off a red flag, false pretense on some alien thing? I mean, I can't really think of what else the American people would accept. You know, I think about it for myself. I've got two boys, you know, in that age group, and for them to be drafted, what would make me favorite? I don't know. You know, pretty much nothing, right? Major U.S. earthquake. Well, Marak, you think that? Hey, Cheryl Seller, how are you? Well, Marak, you think that a major earthquake, the American people would accept not having an election or letting their sons and daughters be drafted? Doesn't seem like enough to me. LJC says a cyber attack, again, to be drafted, to stop the election. I mean, maybe the election, I would buy that, LJC, right? Because they could say, hey, the machines don't work, you know? Hippocrates says, I think it would have to be a classic Pearl Harbor type event, an event even worse than Pearl Harbor, but not a conventional attack, would be explained away. I don't think they can do a conventional attack here. I don't see it, because again, the supply lines are really, really long. And if you look at, you okay?
Yeah, I just tripped. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, what we were talking about is what would have to happen in order for the American people to accept no election. Like what event would have to happen, or what event would have to happen to have them accepted the drafting of our sons? Hate that it's spinning. You got to remember that our population is super divided.
Yeah.
So no matter what Biden does, if Biden says, hey, we're going to institute the draft, we're not going to have an election, the Republicans are going to hate the idea.
Yes.
There's half the country.
Yes.
Okay. And then you've got the other half of the country, you know, the Democrats or that side. Really, there's a big middle, but you know, you got that other side who aren't going to be super in favor of sending their sons and daughters to combat anyway.
Yeah. But there's going to be people who don't have sons and daughters to worry about, and they're going to be okay with sending other people.
That's
There's
some.
gonna be-
But my question is, how does 51%, how does the majority of America accept no election, or how does the majority of America accept sending off specifically your daughters? What kind of event would it have to be? Gizmo says something that would make them put martial law into place. They're putting out everything all at once. False flag. I disagree, Tag. It would not be that hard for us to be invaded. Both borders are wide open. Starla, it might be wide open, and it's really not. I mean, if you drove up and down the West Coast and the East Coast, they're actually decently defended. But let's forget about all that. Let's say that they're wide open. You have to understand that you're coming across the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. Those are huge supply lines. Those are huge transportation processes, and nobody in the world has a Navy like us. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but you know, China has just a couple aircraft carriers to our 11 or our 13. Maybe Russia has got a couple. They don't have the supply line, and obviously the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean would be lined with submarines and be lined with other ships. And how do you get that supply line? And even if you reach the United States, how do you keep that supply line open? I just don't see it. Could be wrong. Mo says maybe an AI threat. Maybe. I mean, maybe it could be this robots are going to take over. We need your sons and daughters to come fight. Maybe.
Eesh.
I mean, but isn't this crazy that it really is going to take something extreme? Because I don't think that
Or the aliens are here.
under any circumstance, the American people are going to be favorable of a draft to send our sons and daughters to the Ukraine or to Israel or to China and Taiwan. I just don't see how the American people buy that. It'll be so unpopular. It has to be something grander, I think, than any of that. I think I missed one right up here. Indiana Mike said, might have to go watch Mars Attacks for clues. Right. I mean, guys, I know this sounds crazy, to even suggest aliens. But I mean, I think Mo's two ideas when he was in here, which was AI, right? Artificial intelligence stack, and aliens would be big enough. But could they actually pull that off? I don't think AI is that far along, but could they stage it?
even aliens, there's going to be people out there, just like the movie. There's going to be people out there who are going to be like, let's welcome them. Come to us.
So crazy.
Come, bring it on.
So
Let's
crazy.
live in peace.
Vicky Pullen says seismic activity at Mount St. Helens volcano is ramping up. I've heard it's ramping up a lot at Yellowstone too. Lots of people are doing early voting. What will happen with votes? I mean, here's the thing again. Biden, in the 3 times that he's been involved in actually for president, the electoral votes he got was 0.01%, 0.03%, and then received the most votes of any president in the history of the United States.
Yeah. What was that fact that you just found out about the votes?
What's that?
I don't know. You told me this last week.
I tell you a lot of things.
The votes last year, there was one particular.
You're talking about
one address.
Oh yeah, there
one
was
single.
Yeah, there was like 13,000 in Georgia. There was 13,000 mail-in ballots that belonged to the same address. And they're now have found that there's over 400,000 votes in the last election, mainly out of Arizona, American roots, just for you, and mainly out of Arizona that didn't have a signature on them and wouldn't have met the qualification of a vote. Hey, Unique Prepping, how are you? LJC says mass famine, parents would agree to anything to feed their starving kids. Oh, see, that's a good one. That's plausible. But isn't it crazy that we're sitting here thinking and the plausible answers are alien invasion, AI, and a famine?
Mass famine.
I mean, and it would have to be a mass. Man, my internet's driving me crazy. If all conventional communicators were down, all conventional communications were down. I don't know. I don't know if that's big enough. If all communication was down, the internet was down, the TVs, you weren't getting anything, would you agree to send your child off?
No, I would bring him closer.
Yeah, I just have a hard time seeing.
Anyway, rally up at my house.
Yep. Nito says there's one in Alaska that has not erupted in 800 years that has come back to life also. Nothing would make me accept my daughter being drafted.
Yeah.
Well, again, Jane, I know most of the people in here, we're going to have that opinion. I'm talking about NASCAR dads, soccer moms, the middle, right? What would
it take for them?
What would it take? They don't have to invade it. They're already here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is a good point. But again, here's the problem with that. That is all low intensity stuff.
Like sleeper cells?
Sleeper cells. Yeah. They can strike, but they can't resupply. You understand what I'm saying?
Unless they there's bricks on the roads in Phoenix,
Good. So if there were foreign armies in our country attacking people with bricks, you would send.
No.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's big enough. Maybe. All the more reason to send illegals to fight us to gain citizenship. It's a good. I don't even know. There's a whole bunch of camps that have been built. There's one up in New York that I was reading about. That's got, the number of people in it is in the tens, to like 26 or 34 or whatever it is, but it'll house like 13,000. The big question has been, well, what's it for? What are the rest of them for?
What they make it for?
Yeah. We, the people, don't trust anything they say. Well, I think Wilma Rock, this hits it right on the head. This is why I'm asking, what do you think the percentages across the United States of America that trust the government? It's a very, very low number. Right? In the debate, did you know 35% of Americans polled out of the debate said Biden won the debate?
How many?
35%. So I think there's a lot of distrust. So I think it's going to take something, right? I think fairly significant. I don't know. China has
to be significant.
Yeah, China has very few nuclear powered ships, says Mississippi Homestead Journey. Mostly diesel. Japan actually has the largest deep water navy besides the United States. Okay, so this is the point. This is a super important point. So China, most of their boats are diesel powered, and this is true. What he's saying is a fact. So if you can imagine that they got a top speed, right, it's pretty slow, and they're going to have to refuel a lot. When a nuclear powered ship isn't refueling.
I don't have any idea how those things work.
There's no way they could keep that supply line. There's just no way they could keep that supply line. I just don't see it.
Unless they have people here who are supplying them.
Well, but in order to get enough supplies, babe, you're talking about they would have to have whole refineries supplying them. They'd have to have whole manufacturing plants,
not just warehouses,
of ammunition supplying them. It's not. It will never be enough to wage war against the American people, the most armed people in the world. Right? There are more guns in the United States of America than there are people. in order for them to come to fight something like that, you're going to have a pretty massive supply line, right? Walmart's not going to cut it. It's not enough.
No, but our first.
Hey, Palmentos Paratrooper, how are you? Loco, good evening to you. Who did I miss in here? Radio Made Easy, good evening. A whole bunch, didn't I? Yeah, Amy B's in the house. I'm going to go back up here just a little bit because there's a whole bunch. Oh, well, I'm going to miss
People
them.
or comments?
There's lots of comments, 0% trust. It's easier to follow a man than convince him he's been fooled. Yeah, but I mean, how do you rationally look at just like the debates? And, I don't know you guys, how many of you guys watched it, but, Biden stood there the whole time with his mouth open in a complete other place. I mean, Trump clearly won the debate, but it's not because he was so magnificent. It was because Biden really looked poor. I mean, he really looked lost. He stumbled through his questions. He actually talked about, they were talking about the illegal immigrants coming over and raping people. And he said, that gets on the news and that's all, publicized and that. But the fact they're raped by their brothers and sisters too.
What's that got to do with anything?
I don't know. I just don't know. Just stuff like that. That's just absolutely crazy.
As long as other people are doing it, they can do it too.
Yeah. I saw a car in Houston today that had Chinese license plates. How does that happen? Got me. Dana Green says those 35% have dementia too. I mean, how could 35% say he was fit to be president? Forget the Republican Democrat thing. Just to lead the country. I don't see how 1% could say that. Literally, I don't get it. How could 1% say that? I don't get it.
That's what I'm saying, that there are people out there that think that he's doing a great job.
Yeah. Palmetto Paratroop has a great point. So I've seen foreign militaries in combat. I take an American Rancher over most of them. This is kind of what I'm saying, right? I mean, Palmetto makes a great point, but it's kind of what I'm saying. I don't see how, it don't matter what the number is, 2 million, let's say, how 2 million Chinese, Venezuelan, Russian, Iranian, whatever it is, sneak across the border with the shirts on their back.
Yeah.
They don't have anything else. Get into this country, get armed up, get enough supplies, get enough ammo, get vehicles, get tanks. It's still not going to be enough. Babe, there are more guns in this country than there are people. If you took the state of Michigan and took all of the gun owners out of the state of Michigan, it would represent the 5th largest army in the world.
I know, but only one guy can shoot one gun at a time. 2 tops,
You're kind of
be accurate.
Aren't you making my point for me?
If you have got people coming over in droves, and if we're supplying them here, then we would be outnumbered. If they're coming over and we're supplying them here, we don't know what they're getting. We don't know what they're getting their hands on.
Yeah.
We don't know who's supplying them, who's putting bricks in the street. Those same people are probably giving these
there
guys
are definitely actors inside our country who would love those things to happen.
Lots
and would help them. No argument. I just don't think it's enough. I mean, you might be able to cause some chaos in some, liberal city somewhere. But babe, at some point in time, you're going to have to cross the Appalachian Mountains. I mean, at some point in time, you're going to run into the Tennessee hillbillies and the rednecks of Iowa and Michigan and Wisconsin. And I don't know. Maybe I see it wrong.
I don't think that they're going to go across the areas of they're going to hit the weaker, just like the books. They're going to hit the weaker communities first, gain population, gain supplies, and then go to the next.
Yeah. So maybe
pillaging along the way.
So maybe the point is, if there was enough of them here that caused enough chaos early, that maybe Americans would be for the draft.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the people coming over across the border are enough to conquer the country. But are they big enough to cause enough chaos that we then support having no elections and we support sending our daughters off in a draft?
Yeah.
Yeah. Radio Made Easy said this so well. It takes someone very special to make Trump seem eloquent. Contrast. Yeah. Hey, Scott Horn, how are you, my friend? Scott's a good buddy of mine. Yeah, Mary Michelle, good evening to you. Hey. Yeah, it was they're talking about the debate. It was absolutely absurd. I watched it as I was preparing for tonight to talk to all of you guys, and I was listening to it go through, and there was example after example after example where it was just like bumbling. There was even a point in it, B, where Trump said to him, "I have no idea what he just said." You know, and then it was. I mean, there was just so many of those points. Oh, by the way, Biden actually said in the debate, for you guys who think this is funny, he said he's had less illegal immigrants cross the border under his watch than under the last several presidents.
Jeez.
He actually said that. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Did anyone notice Biden's hands? He holds them like he has mittens on. Yeah, there's something clearly wrong. And I think I loved the idea before where they're talking about drug tests, both of them. I would have loved that. And Trump was like, I'll do it. You know, yeah, absolutely crazy. Skanes girl, how are you? Nito says, I think the 35% who approve Biden are the ones with Trump derangement syndrome. Clearly, I just can't believe 35%. If you think about that number, that's 100 million people. 100 million people think Biden performed well in the debate. Maybe I watched a different debate.
No, I believe that there are people out there that are just so against Trump that they'll think that Biden's doing great.
But he showered with his daughter. So if brothers and sisters were raping, just saying. Yeah. Hey, Sean Mills is in the house. Amy B says, Tag, I'm going to re-edit my gold mining video. Google gave me misinformation and I feel bad. Well, there's a lot of misinformation out there, isn't there? I think I missed Mossy Oak Parrot. Good evening to you. I think I got the rest of those. Hey, Tim Riley, good evening to you. When you take to the fight to your backyard, just like the mama bear protecting her cubs. That's this. We were talking about this earlier, Loco, too, which is that in order for Americans to agree to these terms of draft and no election, it has to be something on our soil.
Yeah.
It has to be. There's no way that America could get enough popularity to send your daughters to the Ukraine. There's no way. Our country's too divided. In my opinion,
draft them and make them draft them here.
Yeah, draft them here for the purpose of fighting Russia over in the Ukraine.
But then they would go to the Ukraine
to fight. I don't see how they could ever get enough support to do that. I think there would be. I just don't see it. They're not going to fight hand to hand. They're going to target major infrastructure. Yeah, and this makes a good point, Vicky. That if they could hit the infrastructure enough, if they could do some of that, maybe we could scare people enough that there'd be enough support for something like that. Maybe. The people in the cities would fall quickly. Rural folks are another breed. They have home field advantage too and lots of woods to hide in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Pimento, to me and B were just talking about, you may be able to make a dent in some, Manhattan or something. But at some point, you're going to have to cross the Appalachian Mountains, which would be a huge task, or coming the other way, you're going to have to cross the Rocky Mountains. And then you're getting into all the hillbilly redneck, all the, as you say, farmer country, right? Popery for Life says, I'm not sure, but maybe 35% are simply happy with all of the free things they are getting and afraid of losing. Yeah, maybe. But 80% of the population lives within 200 miles of the coast. Oh, that's a great point.
80%.
That is, last number I seen was in the mid 70s, but point's the same, right? What about all the new people? There is more than 30 plus million. What if they have hole punctures? So 30 million people, that would be the size of 10% of our country, right? Little less than 10, like 9% of our country. That still leaves them outnumbered, 10 to 1. The Taliban defeated the greatest military power in history of humanity simply by not quitting. Well, but this changes things, I think, Palmento, when it's on our country, right? When it's here and it's in our homeland and we're dealing with it here again, and we outnumber 10 to 1, I think that makes it pretty tough. And again, maybe I'm wrong. You can't maintain and hold it down, says David. Yep. I could see them annexing part of the U.S. Yeah, I don't think Americans would put up with that. I mean, if you could imagine China came in and said, okay, we're going to stop, but we just want South Carolina, North Carolina, West Virginia.
Like right in the middle.
Right in the middle, right on the East Coast. We'll take New York. We'll take, down to Florida.
I don't think that we would be like, okay.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
You can have it.
But then again, we do have people eating Tide Pods. I mean, you know, we did shut our whole entire country down for the flu, and right. I mean, I wouldn't send my daughter for anything. No telling where she would go. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't either. RFK should have been included. He would have been the only one talking about the real big issues and offering potential solutions. Freesteader, I love that. Welcome. I don't remember seeing Freesteader unless it's someone who changed their name, but there's a great thing about being a Freesteader. Compared to Putin's interview with Tucker Carlson, our choices look like we're electing a fifth grader. I could not agree more. So we don't want our daughters drafted, but we're okay with pubescent kids being groomed. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah, we'll stop, puberty. We'll do gender transformations in, elementary school. Great point. Ever notice all of the K-trails along the road in the cities? One secret squirrel told us that they would use them to block off roads to limit egress to citizens. We had an off-road get-out plan. It was hard to watch with all the lies spewing out of his mouth constantly. He said a lot of things that were crazy. Oh my goodness. Todd, Todd, how are you? Oh my gosh, guys. Sorry, I'm going to skip. There's so many comments. I'm going to get like within a page of getting to the end. Did anybody see Jill Biden's body language when she led Joe into the after spin room? You could almost see the veins in her head pulsing. Yeah, and it seemed to me that she walked him off stage, kind of concerned. I think it was also interesting where Biden said at the end, "Thank you, North Carolina." Do you know why that's interesting?
No, why?
Because the debate was held in Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, what happened in North Carolina? Maybe something else happened.
I don't know, but he was in Georgia. There'd be a lot of AWOL, which by the way is
AOL.
Yeah, AOL. AWOL is absent without leave. There'd be a lot of AWOL draftees. Yep. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It won't be a physical war. We import the majority of what we consume and utilize. Once our supply chain dominoes begin to fall, it's a wrap. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But Indiana, this is, again, the question still comes up. If it's not a physical war, would soccer moms and NASCAR dads be in favor? Could we get a majority support? And again, I'm talking about like the support they had for the COVID shot, right? Could we get overwhelming support for drafting men and women, specifically women? Men are kind of disposable today, right? And then also for not having an election. Would a non-physical war be enough? And I don't know that it would. I think they'll take the East and West Coast and leave the middle alone. China would take Hawaii and California. South Carolina won't go peacefully. There's a lot of southern states down there that I wouldn't write off too quick. Hey, Design 2C says there are maps of the United States that highlight cartel activity. I'd love to see some of them. I have not seen one, but hey, Terminator, how are you? I don't think I said hello to you yet. We watched it on television without a sound for the first hour, reading the subtitles that were out of order. Absolutely hilarious to watch the facial expressions. Glad to be here with all of us. Yeah, amen to that, bud. Jamie says, does anyone think it's odd that Newsom has been in the spotlight after having China's president in his state flying their flags on American soil? Well, I actually think Newsom is one of the top picks to replace Biden. Also, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Michelle Obama came out today and said she would not be supporting Biden.
Oh.
And she gave the excuse because of a comment he made about one of her friends. But let me see if I can, right here. Michelle Obama not campaigning for Joe Biden after Hunter Biden ex-wife fallout. Oops, where did it go?
Hunter Biden ex-wife.
Yeah, Michelle Obama has reportedly declined to campaign for Joe Biden over how his family treated her friend Kathleen Buell after her divorce from the president's son. But Michelle Obama came out and said she's not in.
So does that mean that she is for Trump?
No, she's just not going to support Biden. But there's a lot of talk about Newsom and Michelle Obama and Buttigieg would be the top picks to replace.
Oh, Biden?
Yeah, Biden.
Michelle Obama? Would?
Michelle Obama. Yep.
Oh, I could see that actually.
Yeah. Just Googling, it's alarming how extensive. Yeah. I'm going to write that down about the cartel map. USA. All right, I'll check it out. China has already invaded our mines and pocketbooks. No need to land and soil. Just a few more virtual TikTok slaves. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She was good friends with her, Whitmer. Did anyone see the clip of the CNN guy calling Michelle Obama Michael on live TV? I did not see that, Jamie, but I would have loved to have seen that. I did think it funny that Trump called Biden Brandon last night.
Nuh-uh.
He did. He did.
Good grief.
Yeah. Potentially, it's a major threat as they have infiltrated rural communities. It is a threat, but again, I think the numbers are just so overwhelming, Now, but again, they could attack infrastructure, right? And what if they were to, and God forbid, right? I would never want any of this to happen. But I mean, what if they attacked, 75 schools at the exact same time?
Ah,
Well, I mean,
don't
but
put that in the universe.
But babe, here's what I'm saying. It would take something massive. There would have to be such an uproar of what's going on. I mean, beyond what's going on now. I mean, think about it. Think about the treachery that's been going on in our government today, and nobody stands up. What was it going to take to get that whole middle, the silent middle, to stand up and willingly send their sons and daughters off, or to agree to martial law, or to agree to not having an election? If what they're doing now, we have homeless veterans dying by suicide at a rate never seen before, and yet we're sending all the money to the Ukraine. We could have cured that problem. With the money that sent to Ukraine, we could have cured homeless. With the money sent to the Ukraine, we could have built a wall 8 times over on the border. Nobody's standing up and doing anything about it.
Yeah.
So what would it take to get that middle to stand up? Farm Branch says, yeah, I heard that Brandon comment. Yeah. Oh, I did hear Trump calling Brandon. Yeah, it was kind of funny. Biden is on video when he was a senator saying that we already have an N-word mayor and we don't need another N-word mayor. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's all kinds of stuff
president.
back. Yeah. He's back, but he just leans to whatever he thinks is, popular at that moment. If you go back in time, he said a lot of things. Michelle doesn't like politics according to the book that she wrote. I lost interest when the debate didn't address how the candidates were planning to make America better again. There would have to be proof that it wasn't our own government trying to manipulate us, but you would have those that believe whatever they were told.
Yeah.
Hey, Hilltop Home Place, how are you? I just think it's, I spent a lot of time the other night sitting thinking about those two questions. As I was laid in bed, B was snoring. My wife has this amazing ability where she can close her eyes and go right to sleep.
I am so tired at night.
I mean, she can go right to
We
sleep.
were even waiting for company, and I was just gonna close my eyes for 1 second, and then it's morning.
Yep. I can't do that. I toss and turn for 2 hours before I can fall asleep. So I spend a lot of time chewing. And I think this is a really profound question that I think we should be asking is, what will it take? Because why are all the news about the draft? Right? They changed the rules to draft. Now they're talking about drafting women.
Yeah.
Why that? And then why right on the heel was it all the alien articles? Why is it that there are...
Maybe there's a new movie coming out.
Babe, I'm telling you, I have watched clip after clip after clip of rail lines full of tanks and armored personnel carriers moving all over the country. Right?
That's kind of been going on too.
Putin in Russia said when the whole Ukraine war was started, he said, I will not, when he first invaded, he said, I'll back up. I'll get out of there as long as you promise me Ukraine will not invade NATO. So now, yesterday, he came out and said, oh, no. Now the deal is I'll take peace, but I'm going to keep every bit of land I've conquered in Ukraine, and the rest of Ukraine agrees not to step into NATO. I mean, he is not backing down. And
He's never taking little bites at a time.
Yeah. And, the stuff that's going on, I mean, you've got, blockade of Taiwan that's been going on forever, Chinese ships all the way around it. Israel is mounting troops on their northern border because of Lebanon. I mean, you have 56 countries that are in conflict right now. I mean, you don't see it on the mainstream news, right? You got to go into all the little things, but the world is in chaos. Housing prices are crashing. Right? The market is completely overbought, right? The education system is in disarray. The judicial system, the executive system, the legislative system, they're all in disarray, all at exactly at one time. And the guy that we've got leading it all could not complete a coherent sentence last night. I mean, you can't tell me that all of this is just because.
Yeah, you add all these things up. You have this art to, like a stew pot of poo. You just keep adding it in.
That's a t-shirt. We need to get you a stew pot of poo t-shirt.
Stirring it in.
The backdrop behind Biden in the spin room had a line that said, "Let's go, Joe." How stupid was that? It'd be funny if someone would have gone in there and crossed it out and wrote, Brandon. And they are pincing our military, especially the Navy, when we are sending billions to other countries. There's so much we could do with that money. I mean, all of that money sent, we could have been paying down the national debt. Oh, by the way, with everything that I mentioned out there, we're $35 trillion in debt. $35 trillion in debt. And if you take the unfunded liabilities, it's over $100 trillion. Social Security is broke. Social Security no longer has the money to pay out. We have legislators in both the House and in Congress right now suggesting that they move the retirement age to 70. So you work your whole life, and you can file early at 70 if you'd like to. Or you can get a little money if you wait till 75 when the average male dies at 76. You work your whole life to pay into a system so that according to their number, you get 6 years.
Or one.
Yeah. And if you make it longer, it's okay. They've got you covered. Because what they're going to do is you're going to go on Social Security. You're going to move into a nursing home eventually. And then what they're going to do is they're going to take all your assets as they spend down. So they're going to spend them down on what's called a Medicare spend down. And they're going to use all your assets first before you can use the money that you've already earned and paid into the system for all of those years. Give me all the money that I paid into Social Security. Let me have it. Let me invest it. And I would never have to work another day in my life, as most of you would not. Tag, I'm in a live with Little Mountain Ranch from British Columbia. This is my Canadian community family. Well, how cool is that? Yeah, maybe let me know when their lives are. Maybe sometime I'll stop in. Terminator. We are humans. We already have history to tell us what it takes to get humans to give up perceived comfort and security to take up arms, huge, sudden, or slow, until bodies are abandoned on the sidewalks. Yeah. Laugh out loud, B. I'm totally with you. I am asleep before the head hits the pillow. I wish I could do it. It's a superpower, I'm telling you. Notice the CNN stage said decision 2024 and not presidential debate 2024. Ooh, I did not catch that. Yeah. Instigator Pockerty says Biden said we beat Medicare. He did say we beat Medicare. And with Trump then replied to him, you're right. You beat it into the dirt.
Beat it to death.
Yeah, you beat it to death. Remember Biden said he was going to promote unity in our country. He said he was against the division of the people when he was running the first time. Yeah, how will that work out? Yeah, play money. We need a global debt forgiveness like the biblical Jubilee year. Yeah, the problem is you do debt forgiveness, now you're bankrupting everything, because if you forgive my debt, let's say my mortgage, then what happens to the bank?
It goes under, right?
They're just out, or maybe, or I know what happens. The government prints money and gives it to the bank so that they're even, but they have to print so much money that it drives the value of our dollar down even further beyond the 97% we've already lost over the last 40 years, making it completely worthless, ruining the currency and crashing the whole thing anyway. A very dangerous time between now and January 20, internally and internationally. I could not agree more. We sent $63 billion to Mexico alone in 2023. $63 billion would build the wall.
That is a lot of money.
Absolutely crazy. There's even a clip of Barack Obama referring to Michelle Obama as Michael. Yeah. That's just nuts. I don't know. I think it's just incredible times that we're living, and I'm not 100% sure on really what to even make of it. I mean, again, I think you have to take everything and try to figure out what the motive is, because they're never going to tell you the motive. I promise you they're not. The real game plan, they never will. Why did they attack with everything else going on right now? Why did they change the way it's drafted and make it automatic? Why are they talking about drafting women? Why are they publishing, articles of aliens? Why are they putting an old man who's clearly in late stages dementia at the very best, right? Alzheimer's. Late stages. I mean, I think at the worst, you're talking about full-blown Alzheimer's, right? He obviously don't have it together. Why would they even put him out there and go through with all that? Why would they want him to be president? Why would they just continue to borrow money? And we borrow money from our enemies every single day, right? I mean, we're grounding airplanes because the materials we bought for China are insufficient. They found kill switches and transformers from China that can shut down our internet, and yet we continue to play the game. In 2008, we had a financial crisis because of mortgage rates and housing and all that. And yet we've done nothing to address it. We're right back to the same place that we were, except what we've done is bail out all of these places and spend all of this money, taking us again to $35 trillion in debt. We've yet to deal with a single problem. I mean, I think at some point you have to sit back and say, why? What is the motive?
What we're doing isn't working.
Well, what we're doing is clearly not working. The retirement idea was started in Germany in early 1900s because they needed jobs for younger people. 65 was chosen because the average worker died at 67. What I think is so horrible about this, I don't mind that part. I don't mind them saying, hey, at this age you can retire. What I hate is they charge us. We pay into the system. I've maxed out security long ago, and yet I still pay. And I've paid and I paid and I paid my whole life long for them to borrow against it. Did you know the fact of the matter is, if I would just get exactly what I paid into the system, I would get much bigger Social Security benefit than I'm going to get. I'm going to get less than what I paid in. If you look at it from an average perspective of how long, that the average male lives, I'll never get my money out of it. And yet it's supposed to be there so that at retirement age, you can take care of it. That's right.
Right. You're taken care of. You're
That's right.
prepaying for
That's
it.
right. As usual, there was no mention of the fact that the currency creation is behind inflation. Inflation is a tax, right? On a lighter note, what kind of music do rabbits like? Hip hop.
Hip hop.
Chelsea's lives are Friday night, same time as yours. I have you both on 2 different phones. Oh, cool.
Well, you can't watch it.
Know the rules. 80 million popular votes is a joke. It's a selection, with the SE Electoral College. Yeah, there's no way. You guys cannot convince me that he won more votes than any president in history. You cannot convince me the selection is going to be fair. You cannot convince me any of those things. They want Kamala. Her hubby has been front page lately. Well, if they want Kamala, what will happen next is Article 25, right? They will invoke the 25th Amendment, not Article 25, the 25th Amendment, and they'll remove Biden and she'll become president. But I don't think they want her as the nominee. I mean, she was complaining the other day about how she's amazed she's not even being considered.
What's Kamala's husband on the front page for? Do you know?
I don't know.
Is it a scandal?
Die Sein to see should tell us. Yet we continue to allow foreign governments to purchase land in our country. That's another point.
All the time.
It's exactly what I'm talking about, guys. I mean, put all of those pieces on one plate and look at it, and it's, what'd you call it?
Poo. A big pot of poo.
A big pot of poo, as B would say. It's why I took early retirement. David has 4 more years until he's 70. I kept telling him he needs to retire now. He is so tired. To extend it to 70, many will not receive their input to the system. You'll never receive it. And what a shame that is. Right? I mean, that whole system was designed that you put money in, the government invest it, they build it, you get more and more and more, so that someday when you retire, you have a pot of money to live on and you can enjoy some of your later days. And yet here we are, and now they're talking about moving it to 70. I mean, it's so crazy. What part of life do you enjoy after 70? I mean, maybe 5 years on average, 6 years on average. As I mentioned, the average male lives to, I think it's 76, and the average woman to 81. So let's even take the female numbers. You get 10 years. So you've been paying Social Security from all your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, up to 70. 60 years.
How old was your dad when he died?
72.
My dad was 70.
Yeah. Now they want to make it mandatory where you can't retire till 70. Absolutely insane. It is why I took early retirement. I already read that one. Sorry. Let me see here. Campaign. Check out the story right now on USA Today about Biden. She's as dumb as a box of rocks. Yes, she is. He's Jewish, designed to see, says Kamal's husband, which would be an interesting play into Israel. And but by the way, Biden said that we needed to get out of Israel's way and let them wipe the Palestinians off the map tonight in the debate. Mo Engineer says an Atlas Shrugged, the powers to be was worried about only about making it through the next year, then month, then week, then day. They knew it was going to lead to death, but at some point they stopped caring. Well, I think that's actually a pretty important point. If you look back at our founding fathers, most of them, not most of them, all of them at the very least ended up broke. Many of them died. Many of their houses were burned, and they knew that this is what it was going to lead to, but the cause was so great they were willing to stand. Right? How many people you suppose today are willing to take a stand? How many soccer moms do you think are willing to live without their frappe and their soccer balls and their coach purse as they sit on the side, with the neighborhood association or the Harper Valley PTA thing going on? How many NASCAR dads do you think the same thing are willing to take a stand? And unfortunately, I don't think there's many. Foreign investments, especially land here in the Philippines, are very restricted, but China owns it all. Yeah. Social Security was designed to be a supplement to retirement, not a complete retirement plan. We knew long ago we probably wouldn't get it when we were old enough to qualify.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's safe. And I think you should continue going on the plan that you probably aren't going to get it. But what a shame.
Doesn't that sky look weird over there?
Again, I've maxed out Social Security. And I know they only go in the last so many quarters of work. But I don't know. Many think they will have enough to pay for things. It barely covers the basics. So if they did not save, they will be hurt financially. I think there's other sides to that too, Potpourri for Life too, right? Which is make sure that you don't have a mortgage, right? Make sure you don't have any debt. Make sure that let's go even a step further. If you're off grid and have an electrical system, you don't have an electric bill. If you wage that backside argument, then the front side money you need becomes dramatically less. If I were able to be self-sufficient without property taxes, I could live without jobs. Barter. Yeah, the property tax is the hard one, huh? Yep. Oh yeah, Starlit Oak brings up a good point. Tractor Supply to cut DEI. You know what that is? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Right. So Tractor Supply totally went woke. It was interesting. They put in an article this week and they said, hey, look, we've listened to you. We've heard you guys. We're going to back off of the DEI conversations. We're going to get back to rural America. We're going to get back to farmers. We're going to get back to these things. But you know what's crazy about all of that? Never once in there did they mention they lost $100 million.
Tractor Supply did?
Yeah.
Over their whole stance?
Yep.
Huh.
Cost them $100 million. And they didn't mention that anywhere in the article.
How do you know that? It was just in the news?
Yeah, just in the article that I read. That's how many revenues they've lost once they went woke and started talking about, like they moved one of the board of directors from Vanguard, who was in charge of diversion and equity and all of that stuff for Vanguard, and came in and started catering to the LGBTQ community and all of these kind of things. And it backfired. People stopped shopping there. I mean, I know a lot of people in my life who won't shop at Tractor Supply.
Yeah.
Because of those stances. Well, they lost $100 million. Now they come in and said, hey, look, you're important to us. We listen to you. But never once did they actually make the statement that they lost $100 million.
We could fill our grill propane tank. Look at that. It keeps the time.
Maybe we're back. Look at that. We were on such a roll for like 40 minutes.
Yep. Anyway, Tractor Supply, their propane tank, we can fill it for $13. But instead, I go to the mom and pop shop and fill it for $20.
This is what I'm saying. This is why they lost all that money, right? Let me see here. Yeah, Potpourri says property taxes are horrible. Actually, I would go a step further. Property taxes are the one thing that keeps us from being free. I would argue that property tax should be the one thing we're fighting the hardest, because as long as we have to pay property tax, you'll never own your home. Income tax, I would agree to double income tax in order to remove property tax, because I get to choose what I buy. I can make deals with other farmers. I can barter. I can do other things. But on property tax,
you can't get out.
You don't own your home. You're just a steward of it. Right?
Which is, it's so crap too.
Skanes Girl says, yeah, but did you notice the Tractor Supply waited until Pride Month was over? Tag, when COVID hit, it was a tough times for me and my husband. We had lost our home and then got shut down 4 days later due to COVID. Our government gave out financial help. We were told to apply. COVID was hard for everybody, but I think getting ourselves in a situation, right, where we don't have to, I think is the best possible situation. Loco says Vanguard, State Street, and BlackRock. Enough said. Yep. Yeah, until you started talking about DEI. Yeah. Okay, the live keeps getting out. Time for the draft. Yeah, no shit, huh? Which is why hubby and I worked so hard to pay everything off, Nito says, and pay for solar. We won't have to pay. This is the thing, guys. If you have to ask permission from the electric company, then you are emboldened to the electric company.
Right.
Just the way it is. If you have to ask permission from the water company, then you are a slave to the water company. Just the way it is. If you have to ask permission from the mortgage company, well, guess what? You're a slave to the mortgage company.
Right.
And so I think the goal is to get, maybe we can never get rid of all of them, get rid of as many of them as you can. I applied, got the help. Now they want it all back and I'm trying to fight it. I caught a few live streams of Nigel Farage's new candidacy in the UK. He detailed the problems there and it matches ours. Yeah, well, it's a worldwide economy, right? And I think our problems are probably worse in a lot of places. I think Europe's probably ahead of us in the collapse of the Western world. I don't know by how far. I like the cartoon I saw. Ever notice we pay taxes on fireworks to celebrate eliminated taxes?
Gosh.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see that reaction, Instigator? That's good shit right there.
Yeah, there's been a couple of those. Good job.
Here you can get a 100-pound propane tank filled by the gallon instead of a set price for a 20-pound tank. It's cheaper per gallon to fill a 100-pound tank.
Mm-hmm. I just can't carry a 100-pound tank.
Right. The biggest one you got?
45.
Yeah. We have 1,000-gallon tanks out there that are connected, but I think portable ones you got.
Yeah, just for my grill out back.
Yeah.
So I have two little ones and a big one, and the little ones I can carry full. The big one I cannot carry full.
Yeah. Gregory Kissel says, what do you think of death tax? I think it is an absolute travesty. How you can work your entire life to create generational wealth, which is why they do death tax, Gregory. They don't want
get taxed.
They don't want generational wealth. Well, yeah, you know, if you have assets in excess of 5 million, I know that sounds like a big number, but it isn't. 5 million. Imagine how many hundreds of acres it would take to be worth 5 million, or how many $400,000 combines, or how many houses, right? It's just not that many to be 5 million, but I believe the probate rate, and I haven't looked in a few years, is 44%.
44%.
44%. So if you don't do something like a trust, if you don't do other things, they're going to take a lot of that. And they don't want that generational wealth, because if you guys remember in the old days, what it used to be is, okay, so dad and mom work really, really hard to leave, then they die, and their kids take over the farm and work really, really hard to expand the farm, to which then they leave it to their kids who work really, really hard to expand.
You
and
have
then,
them, 100-year farms.
That's right. And that's how they do it.
Generational,
but
passed down.
The generational wealth transfer is a threat to the status quo. They don't want that. They want you to own nothing and be happy. What do you think about tonight?
Yeah.
You having fun tonight?
No, that seems wrong.
Tag solar storms possibly the problem with your internet. Well, Gizmo, it's interesting. I don't know. I don't think it's on my end, because they've been talking about they had a problem on their tower.
Yeah.
And
they have 4 people that are having very big problems.
Yeah, then they haven't been able to figure them out. And I think there's something, I think I'm one of them that had the issue. My house, I've got protection against that stuff on my house. I don't know. When he came out today, he said that they're having an issue, but I mean, I'm going to give them a very short time to fix this, or I'm going to order something else, because and the lives are important. Don't misunderstand, but it's not for that. I'm trying to run businesses and I'm trying to be productive all day long. And
I don't know what else I can do though. Like, I've already replaced all the parts that I could replace. So I don't know. We could cut that tree down and see if that helps.
Yeah, but they're saying that they're reading it okay. That it's not the problem, that it would help. You'd get a little better, but it would not drop me out of a call, The people like Schiff, Celente, and such say that the U.S. is about a year behind Europe in terms of economic and social issues. Yeah, and I think I would agree with that. FYI tag, Nevada elect is working on raising the monthly base rate to $48, so we would still have to pay that. That is such crap. I hate that. While politicians line their pockets with millions. Yep. Well, Maroc couldn't agree more. If you have a trust but die within, I think it's 20 years, they can still take your assets from the trust. Yeah, I think it's not 20 years. I think it's 5 years. Karen, I'm actually a person on here who just went through all of that, Engineer Mo, would be great to tell that. But Karen, I believe it's 5 years. A trust is the way to go. You still own the property, but when you pass, they get the property, and it also protects the property from medical bills and nursing homes, 100%. Have they raised capital gains tax yet? Haven't heard anything about it lately. They have not yet, but Biden has proposed 44%. Welcome to the live, Pumpkin. How are you?
Gosh, adulting kind of sucks. Where's all the glitter?
This farm has been in our family for over 100 years, says Gregory. Each
Yeah.
generation has paid their share of taxes. Yeah. I think it's just
And
super sad.
that's a nice way to say that. Each generation has paid their share of taxes.
That's right. And should be able to be rewarded from that.
For 100 years.
Yeah. I think it's perfectly fine to tax somebody when they buy their home. But to tax them every single year on it?
Yeah. They do it on their car, do it on their house, do it.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Let me see here. It can be hard to abandon the grid, but if you start off grid, way less problems. Yes, you won't have those connection fees, and you won't have some of those things. Everybody that moves out here who buys land, I really encourage, don't let them in. Don't give them that easement down your driveway. Don't give them those things. Just figure out a way to do it without it, because for that exact reason. Sons of Hacks, business truck, and a revocable family trust. Mo Engineer says 5-year look back for Medicaid. What's the latest Ford F-150 consumer index lately? I have no idea. Yeah, Mo said in Missouri.
So it changes for state to state?
Well, laws can change some state to state. Yeah, but they'll be fairly similar, especially when you got states that are similar like Missouri and Kansas and Iowa.
Some states would be 5 years and some states would be 10, some would be 7, some would be 4.
Yeah, tag, I pay $1,200 a year for the 100 acres we own. It's actually not bad for 100 acres. Yeah, I pay way more than that, but I also have a house and a lot of other things that get taxed. That's my plan, tag. Never let them in. Toughing it out now. I'm in tribulation training. Mm-hmm. You know what the cool news is, Skane's Grill, about being in tribulation training is you're going to pop your head out of the backside and you're going to be a tribulation trainer. Yeah. And that makes everybody around us stronger. Right. And by the way, I'm working on some certified tribulation trainer apparel that will be coming down the pipe. I'm still expanding my off-grid solar. The hard part is the battery cells come from China, electronics from Europe. So it's almost impossible to not give some money to China. And I think that's true right now, Hippocrates. But there's other things. There's the American battery plant that's broken ground. And I think they're going to start having stuff for sale later this year.
Where's that at?
I don't know where they're building it at. I want to say
hope it's in the Midwest.
It's in Utah or something like that. I'd have to look it up again. But there is the American battery company that's going to be making that kind of stuff. But they just keep increasing property taxes. Says One More Rock. This is why this is the fight we got to fight. This is anytime that there's a county commissioners meeting or anything about property taxes, everybody needs to attend. We need to be posting on, the local pages on Facebook and everywhere about property taxes. Everybody needs to be screaming about property taxes because there are states in the union that no longer charge property tax, let's say after age 65, or no property taxes at all, or a decreased rate of property taxes. So there's already precedent set all across the United States of America for this, but we have to go get loud. And I'm telling you guys, every town has a people paying attention in Smithville page on Facebook, right? Every town has those. We need to be singing it every single day about property taxes, every single day. Let me see here. Karen says, my sister pays nearly $200 a month in property taxes on a single lot in a town about 2,000 people. Unfortunately, I think it's going to get worse. Mississippi Homestead says, Needles, I'm not asking permission. Inspectors don't have the right to cross the gates and fences. I agree with this. And I think some of those small fights are worth fighting. I'll do a shirt that says, I don't do adulting. I do prepping by peeing in pools first. Deal. B wants one. Yes, because local voting is so important. Well, I think just making sure that the people that are in charge, right, that they know we're here and they know we're pissed. All right. Nevada located a very large amount of lithium. Good. We pay $3,900 for 3/4 acre in town. Oh my goodness. That's more than I pay for my whole farm. Man, Loco says the county commissioner and sheriffs should be your best friends. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. We have 2 community members, one what I would consider inner circle community and one outer circle community members who are running for county commissioner in our county right now. We're working hard to get them elected. If we can get both of them in there, that's 2 of 3. That's a big deal. And I couldn't agree more about the sheriff. It's the highest, law on the land at the county level. I do not want my kids to pay ridiculous inheritance tax on our estate when we die. We already pay taxes on everything. Yeah.
Everything.
But the problem is, what do you do, right?
How do you get out of it?
Skane's Girl says no inheritance tax in Louisiana. Karen, I bought a little over half an acre, 2,200 square foot living space, puts a huge seller for $7,900, live in town and pay $1,500. In town at $1,500, pay $454 in property tax. Hippocrates says it's hard to tax gumbo. Yeah, well, I think it's hard to tax anything you can work on together and you can barter amongst each other. And I think the more we do that, the better too, right?
No. Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I'm going to go down my slides here, make sure that I got everything. Oh, did you guys see over in Europe, people are vandalizing, cutting all the cameras down?
Cutting the cameras.
Yeah. So like places like England, like in London, you can't walk on a street without being under a camera. There's cameras everywhere.
You mean public cameras?
Public cameras. And if I could bring up my slideshow, I'd show you guys. But there's pictures of people cutting them down with sawzalls and metal saws, and people are kind of
because they don't want to be watched.
Well, they're just kind of fighting back.
Or are they just vandalizing stuff?
Yeah, they're just kind of fighting back. Also, Chris Kobach, if you guys remember, Chris Kobach is the Attorney General in Kansas. And if you guys remember from the last slide, he filed suit against Pfizer for vaccine damages. And that's ongoing. And this week, Chris Kobach's at it again. And he filed another lawsuit against the Biden administration for the student loan debt payoff stuff.
The student loan?
Yeah, you know how Biden's forgiving people student loans? And so the AG of Kansas filed another lawsuit this week in reference to the student loan payoff. Nito says, moving at this stage of life for hubby and I would be very difficult. We have done so much to be set up for the rest of our lives. Yeah. I pay more than you for 8 acres with 640 square foot house. Man, ouch.
An eighth of an acre.
I know older people who are going to lose their farm because they can't keep up with property tax.
Yeah, that's sad.
Well, and that's something a trust isn't going to protect you from. Right?
Because somebody has to pay the taxes.
If you don't pay the taxes, they'll let you go a year or two, and then they're going to put it up for auction. They're going to take your land. This is why we don't own land. This is why property tax should be the biggest fight, in my opinion. Many of you would be shocked at the thousands of tax charged on little suburban lots on the East Coast. My 2/10 of an acre is $2,800. Oh my gosh. That's more than I pay on my whole farm. Conserve friends. My entire farm. And I live in a big house. We have barns. We have all kinds of stuff. I don't pay that. Man. Nitos, look at your state statutes. They don't have a right to inspect your property. They rely on compliance. Now, if you need home insurance, that's another story. Another reason to be out of debt, right? Even if someone doesn't file a lawsuit, take it off your taxes. Yeah, I think we should be, as a collective, if I could get the entire country behind one issue, that we could all go march on the Capitol on one issue, be property tax.
Because then you would own your home free and clear.
Yep. Well,
nobody could come and take it from you.
That's right. And as we get older, right? So there's a thing in life called peak earning potential.
But then you'll always own it, or your family will
always own it.
And they want that overturn.
That's
so
right.
that they can keep.
But they've already taxed it.
Yeah.
So you get to this peak earning potential, and at some point that earning potential declines, and as you get older in your life,
right?
It's a shame that people have worked their hard, they bought all these things, they paid for it, they pay taxes the whole time, and then they have to give it back. And then they get sick and they go to a nursing home, and then you have to sell everything and spend all that money before you can spend the money that you've already put into an account under Social Security and those kind of things. It's just absolutely ridiculous. My quarterly property tax is $1,400 for 1/4 acre and just under 1,000 square foot home. Man.
Quarterly.
Did you guys see the Supreme Court? So there's a lot of news in the Supreme Court this week. There's about 4 or 5 big decisions that are coming down the pipe. And Business Insider put out an article that said the Supreme Court of the United States seemed determined to dismantle the administrative state. It will make regulating major industries tougher. It was actually, let me go back up here. Trying to remember what it was called. Oh, I knew it. Oh, I can't remember.
Do you know where Reading is?
Reading, Kansas? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where is that? There's a
way down south.
Okay, there's a confirmed tornado there.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, the Chevron. There you go. They struck down the Chevron. So I think what this is really going to affect the most is cryptocurrency, because the law, basically what the Chevron deference is that if the law was hard to interpret, then they left it up to the agencies in the federal government to interpret. So because the law wasn't clear on how to regulate a cryptocurrency, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, said, okay, we're going to regulate it. Instead of what it should have been, it should be done by Congress to say this is what happens. And so that's what they're talking about. One of them that they struck down, which I think is a good thing. How about attacking our infrastructure? That would be catastrophic for our woke population. It would. And if they could hammer the infrastructure big enough to where people in the heat of the summer, which is right now, right, didn't have air conditioning or didn't have heat in the winter, right, those kind of things, or the trucks wouldn't continue, so people were hungry, then you'd probably create enough chaos to where people would accept government control, or they would accept the draft and those kinds of things. I think that's plausible, Harry. I just think it's going to have to be big, as I sit and ponder it. And I would encourage you guys to ponder that question, as we leave live tonight, and, you guys go on your day, is what would it take? What would it take for you to support a draft of women and men? What would it take for you to support not having an election?
Would that be 18 and older or 21 and older?
18 to 26.
They don't want anybody older than 26.
No, that's the window for the draft. Now they higher than that. Now they could come out and they could say, "Hey, we're going to draft like in the Ukraine, it's 51."
Oh,
yeah,
18 to 51.
18 to 51. Where are we at here? B, how's your garden doing? Yeah, talk about your garden.
Garden is doing good.
What'd you find in your garden today? Did you find some new planting?
Yeah, that's why you took me off
Okay.
guard. I was up looking at everything, and I was checking out the corn, and it's about 7 inches tall. There's an entire, so one whole side of it is corn, but it's covered in purslane. I have an entire crop of purslane that just grew on its own there.
It's big in vitamin A, right?
It's actually, there's quite a few benefits for it. Yeah, they eat it. I'm not sure. I've not ever ventured into that, so I don't know how it's consumed or used, but there's medicinal properties to it too. So I will look into that and see how I can add some of that too. I kind of feel like if it's like a surprise and I find it just boom, there it is on our property. It's like the universe saying you should have some of this.
You're such a dork. Good night, RN.
You should have some purslane on hand. Why does it look so dark?
I don't know. We got
our
lights on too. Time of the day, I guess. Mo said, I'm seeing stuff on the favorable case for Bitcoin may limit the FDA overreach too. Still looking into it. Could be very good for the community. Well, I think having less regulations is super, super important. And people want to make the argument that regulations are important because it keeps corporations honest, but corporations aren't our biggest problem.
Corporations aren't our biggest problem.
No, the government overreach is our biggest problem. I mean, you can't, to start a company today, the work that it takes to start a company, and then you get just to where you start making good money, you get up to 50 employees, and now you got to follow Obamacare, and you got to do all these things, and you got to do family leave, and you got to let, both the boy and the girl have, maternity leave, and they get, so many weeks, both of them do, and you got to
okay with them dressing like a cat.
The cost of hiring an employee is expensive. Employees
The audio was.
Well, that's because I wasn't in there. Maybe it will come back.
Maybe it will come back.
Yeah, this says purslane also has omega-3s.
Yep, I did know that one.
I don't even know if people can hear me or not. It's just spinning. Funny that the liberals could identify a male and a female when they passed that law.
Oh, good one. Who
lets me back in? Oh, maybe it let me back in. Hey, we were commenting on, I don't know if you guys heard me or not, we were commenting on one more rock statement that said, funny that the liberals could identify the male and female when they passed the law. Yeah. I wonder how they would view that. So if a woman, a biological woman, transforms, whatever, transitions, that's a word, right?
Yeah.
To a male, are they then now eligible for the draft?
Well, they're going to do male and female, right?
Right.
And yes, they do have females that are biologically male in female prisons, right? There was a whole big thing about that. Big issues came up in that scenario. So
crazy. The whole thing's crazy. Ukraine draft is actually 23 to 51. Oh, okay. I thought it was 18, Starla. Thank you for that. I'm glad you guys hear me. Sorry, I wish I could do better, but it's all I can do. It's kind of fun when you first come back because the screen is black, but we hear your voices coming from the dark. Ooh, that's good to know because we keep talking, apparently. There was a lady testifying at some hearing asked if men can menstruate, where actually does the tampon go?
oh,
Yeah. In their XY chromosome, or their X chromosome.
It's a pocket.
It's a perfect time to identify as a cat. Yeah, until they say cats are now draftable.
Cats are, yeah.
So crazy how it only works when it benefits them. You know, it only works when it's to their, to their benefit. To sending, people to die over in the Ukraine while, veterans are committing suicide over here and people are homeless in the street and people are addicted to, drugs all over the country that the government supplied and brought in for their own greed. There's even some studies out there that say the only reason that we didn't hit a depression in 2008 was because of the drug trade.
Because of the drug trade?
Because of the drug trade. That's what kept it afloat. So I'm not suggesting that people who are on drugs don't have any fault in that, because they certainly do. But what I'm saying is the government makes it awful easy. And they prey on you and they want you addicted. You're, super profitable to them if that's the case.
Mm-hmm. Or sick.
Yeah, or sick. I don't know if this is going to kick me out. I just tried to switch.
Did you try to put a slide up there?
No, not up there. Right there. What else? Let me read these real quick. Identifying as tax exempt. I think I should identify as tax exempt. Draft dog and congressman. Yep. Interesting. Can a cat own property?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah. Interesting. Top doctor confirms ivermectin cures cancer. I don't know if you guys read this or not, but there was a top doctor who, a professor at several different universities, who's now says they now have proof that ivermectin can cure some types of cancers. Congress Massey, which, by the way, if you guys know, I'm a very big fan of Congressman Massey, but his wife passed away today, so prayers out for him and his wife, and at their time too. But Congressman Massey just revealed that 3 of the top FDA vaccine experts were fired after requesting more time to study side effects of COVID-19 shots in children and young adults, so that the Biden administration can push the shots through faster and mandate them. Isn't it funny how stuff just keeps coming out? Right, the stories just keep getting worse. By the way, if you guys remember, Arnold Schwarzenegger, when the COVID thing was going on, said, and I quote, "Screw your freedom." Do you guys remember that? He officially offered an apology for saying those words today.
Wow.
Yeah. Mississippi Homestead says druggies weren't addicted the first time they tried it. Laugh out loud. Great point. Yeah, great point. Just think the money that has been spent on illegals in the past 3 years could have solved our own homeless problem 10 times over.
Yeah.
Me and B were talking about this before the live. The money that they sent to the Ukraine could have built the wall, ended all homeless, and dealt with the veteran suicide. All in the money that was sent to Ukraine. But here's the thing you guys have to understand. That money going to the Ukraine don't actually go to the Ukraine. A lot of people don't know this. That money is pledged by the United States government to go to the Ukraine. It's then sent to American military contractors to make weapons, and then weapons are then sent to the Ukraine. So they use a bill to protect poor Ukraine. Then they take all of our old weapons and the stuff that need refurbished and need updated, and they send them to the Ukraine, and then they pay the military industrial complex to supply new weapons back to our stores. Don't actually get to the Ukraine, or at least very little of it does. Everyone should write down their memories from COVID years, because they will erase it until it's all gone. CNN's Alice Stewart died of COVID. I think that's CDC, but just so you know, CDC is recommending updated COVID-19 vaccinations for the fall.
They are?
They are.
I thought they took them off of I thought they took the vaccines off. That they are causing damage.
Some of the vaccines are off, not all of them. And so Pfizer's back at a new vaccine. They've updated it. And Moderna's got a new vaccine out that they've updated.
So they took out all the bad stuff that causes all that bad heart problems. And now it's all better.
Yeah,
New and improved.
Yeah, LJC says that's so sad about Rhonda Massey. Yes, it is. Yeah. Charlotte Doak said it sure don't cure mine. I don't think it cures all form of cancer, and I don't think it's a take 5 drops, it's going to cure everything anyway. I think it's part of the plan, but it has shown in tests to have an impact on it. So yeah, Mississippi Homestead Journey says, screw your apology. In Arkansas, the COVID vaccine is on childhood recommendations for vaccine. Yeah. Anybody over 6 months, as I'm told. I was told by someone today to be careful because COVID is on the rise again. Yep. Yeah, Skanes Girl says, no, they had to update their nanobots. And you guys know who Christine Grady is, since we're talking about COVID. So Christine Grady, I'll tell you a little bit about her. She's an American nurse and bioethicist who served as the head of the Department of Bioethics at the National Institute of Health. So the NIH is kind of the governing body that decides which vaccine can be made. And, they're kind of the top of all of that. But anyway, she was born in New Jersey, for those of you guys who want to know, went to Seton Hall University. Yep, nobody yet. She's worked on all kinds of presidential commissions and National Academy of Medicine, et cetera, et cetera. And in case you guys didn't know, she married a guy named Anthony. And that you guys know him as Fauci. So I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but Fauci's wife, and you guys can look it up. Her name's Christine Grady. And she's at the head of the National Institute of Health Center. Pretty interesting, huh? Let me see here. Our pastor and his wife have COVID again. I think this is the 4th or 5th time they've had it. The last time I was asked if I had a COVID vaccine, I told the nurse no, and it's my body, my choice. Laugh out loud. She just moved on to her next question. Yeah, the fear is strong with many, says Gaines Girl. Yeah, it is absolutely strong with many. What else we got? We see bird flu. Call for high-risk Americans to be vaccinated. New study emerges. A multi-state outbreak of bird flu continues to spread among dairy cattle in the U.S. Many experts are now calling the country to start vaccinations.
Vaccinating their calves or their cattle against?
No, vaccinating people.
Oh, vaccinating people against the bird flu.
That's right. And Finland became the first country in the world to start bird flu vaccinations in humans this week. I wish I could share all this with you guys.
Says it was detected across the bird flu was detected across the United States.
Yeah. Did you see that map?
No, that's what I was just.
Yeah. So that's the map right there.
In backyard and commercial.
Yeah, that's the bird flu map of the United States. I wish I could share it with you guys, but my internet will not allow me. But it's spread through a lot of it. It's in about, well, it looks like to me in every single state. But Pfizer needs more money, says Skanes Girl, and I could not agree more. And since we were at it, and we told you guys that Finland became the first country to start bird flu vaccinations, Denmark became the first country in the world to start charging $100 per cow as a burp tax.
What is a burp tax?
Hey, All American Prepper, how are you? I'm still having internet problems, so you know.
Because the cows are burping?
Yeah, it's carbon tax. Yeah, forget carbon taxes on cars. Denmark is charging farmers $100 burp tax per cow. Isn't that crazy?
I wonder if there are mini cows if it's just $50.
Only you would ask that. Who gives a shit if it's $5? It's a crock.
Yeah, it is.
Cow fart tax. That's correct.
Cow fart.
Hey, Hardway, Alaska, how are you? If you're looking for the truth in today's world, look up End Times. They planned for today on YouTube. I actually think I've watched them a few times, I think. I usually get asked once if I want the vax and the vax. This year, the nurse asked and the provider asked again. Same answer, both no. I'm afraid if the doctor asked me if I wanted a C vaccine, I'd ask him if he wants a lead one. Hey, Chuck Peoples, how are you? Guys, Chuck Peoples from Homestead Medical's in the house. Interesting, the bird flu vaccine is available. When did they create that? That's what I love about these people. They're smart.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the bird flu is fairly new, right? But there is a patent on the bird flu, just as there's a patent on COVID-19. And just like we've always said, COVID-19, the COVID vaccine was not created, for COVID. COVID-19 was created for the vaccine, right? It's all about the money, right? It's all about the money. I was asked this week if I was concerned about bird flu because I have chickens. I'm guessing if I don't get the bird flu jab, I will lose some customers. Good. Good. I think you guys, Fauci was caught several times saying if you don't take the COVID-19 jab, you won't be able to get into college, right?
Yeah, you won't.
And those kind of things. So it's the same thing. I mean, they're gonna and there's articles out there if you Google it, LJC, that'll tell you that they're talking about only now mandating the vaccine for producers. So if you have chickens, you have to get the vaccine. If you have cows, you have to get the vaccine. If you have those, you have to get the vaccine, but everyone else wasn't. Homestead Medical says the patent was filed in 2018. Yeah. One More Rock, which, comment of the day says it's just another name for the exact same project. Yep. It's a project to enslave us. Right.
Fear.
Yeah. So, same time they created it is probably in the same lab in Georgia. Yeah. Sadly, if a real pandemic came along, who would trust the government? Right. Me and I've talked about this.
Yeah.
That
to question it and then put something real bad out there.
Yeah, because I'll bet you if you asked 335 million people how many would get the next jab,
you think a lot of them would say
there's
no?
A lot of people I think who got the jab who wouldn't get it again, who wouldn't go back down that road again because of the cardio with the myocarditis and all the issues that have come out with it. Yep. I would ask them to prove my cows were farting and how often. Go sniff. Yeah, it got me.
My cows fart.
Yep. I know you guys heard, but Julian Assange was freed.
Oh.
Right. And so he left to go visit his family for the first time in 1,300 days or whatever it was when he was in prison. And I don't know what you guys feel about him, but I think him exposing the government for corruption is a wonderful thing and we need more of them. But I thought while he got freed, we'd go back and, Clinton was in office a lot. I just wanted to quote one of her quotes. So the Clinton State Department was getting pressure from President Obama and his White House inner circle, as well as the heads of state internationally, to try to cut off Assange's delivery of the cables. And if that effort failed, then to forge a strategy to minimize the administration's public embarrassment over the contents of the cables. Hence Clinton's early morning November meeting with the Secretary of State's top brass, who floated various proposals to stop, slow, or spin the WikiLeaks contamination. That is when a frustrated Clinton, sources said, at some point blurted out a controversial query. Can't we just drone this guy? Clinton openly inquired. Offering a simple remedy to silence Assange and smother WikiLeaks via the planned military drone strike, according to State Department sources. I mean, man, talk about evil, right? Where are we at here on the comments?
And it drew laughter from the room.
One More Rock. This is a great comment. It says, if you are the praying type, pray for discernment. Yeah, Loco says Assange psyop. Yeah, possibly. I will never again get the jab. They can kiss my grits. Yep. Karen, let me see. Sorry. Design 2C. So if we eat more beans instead of beef, then won't that increase the
farting?
Probably. The government that cried wolf, says Amy B. Absolutely crazy. So this is what I was talking about right here. 25% of all. Oh, this is not just Arizona. This is in Maricopa County in Arizona. 25% of all 2020 mail-in ballots, equaling 420,987 out of 1.9 million confirmed to have no signature match.
And just in Maricopa County.
Yeah, this was the Arizona Senate audit that's going on. Absolutely crazy.
420,000.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys seen last week either, but apparently the deal between Russia and North Korea, how Vladimir Putin flew to North Korea, and they agreed to defend each other, blah, 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 blah. And then this week it was announced that North Korea, and I think it's 100,000, is sending 100,000 troops to fight with Russia in the Ukraine. Now, they say, though, that you shouldn't be worried because they're only military engineers and support staff. Absolutely crazy. Crazy. Ultimate goal is decreasing humans. We breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. That is what part of what Kerry Lake was warning that happened. Yeah. Yeah. All American says, I'd like to see a Ukraine audit. Yeah, so would I. Other interesting news that's going on, I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but Immigration Accountability Project, Biden admin orders all federal agencies to provide voter registration information to everyone they come in contact with. State election officials are not permitted to ask for proof of citizenship for applicants who fill out the federal form. I'm Rosemary Jenks with the Immigration Accountability Project. As Senator Lee said, we estimated that there is an upwards of 30 million non-citizens, so foreign born, who have not naturalized and are therefore ineligible to vote under the laws. The problem that we have now, though, is that the Biden administration, that there's a Biden executive order that orders all federal agencies to provide voter registration information to everyone they come in contact with. We also know that state election officials are not permitted to ask for proof of citizenship for applicants who fill out the federal form. So basically what they're saying is that they're giving out voter registration information to everybody.
Yep.
And they're not allowed to verify identity. So then they register to vote.
Yep.
Right. This is how Biden becomes the most popular president in the history of the world. Welfare offices in 49 states are handing out voter registration applicants to illegals with no proof of citizenship required, only in America. Crazy. Let me see here. Ruskies floating into Cuba, maybe for some great mojitos. Yeah, I think Russia's saying, hey, if I can play the same game you guys can play, right? Pack Rat, by the way, good evening to you. The fix is in, says Pack Rat. What else here? We have already talked about that one. God, I wish I could show you guys these pictures.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I got so many great pictures of what's going on in the homestead.
You can't just.
Maybe I can't. I'll crash it. I've got such little signal right now. I think we're just kind of barely hanging in there
because
now.
it's just one dot.
See that right there? It says my connection's unstable. I don't want to do anything to
unstabilize it more.
Yeah, so community building, we got all of the concrete poured for it, and 12 walls have been built. And so
they're just laying there.
Yeah, when I build it this time, I'm going to build it in sections. I'm going to videotape it so people can see how to build by yourself versus having a large crew, even though I'll have a large help. So we built a bunch of 8-foot walls, 12 of them to be exact, because I need 3 on each 30-foot side, and I need 6 on the 62-foot side. But that'll leave me some 6-foot end walls to build.
Were they 8x8, 8x9?
8x8. 8x8. So I'll have some little stub walls to build. We got them all stacked in a pile. And so what'll happen is we'll just pick a day and we'll go out there and build all the walls. They're all built, ready to go. And so from there, that's project is on a standstill until I pour concrete again, because I want to pour a pad behind the retaining wall of the community building to put the cistern on. But that's really not enough concrete. So I decided to go ahead and dig the footings for B's barn. So I'll fill them with concrete, and then I'll take the truck over there and fill that little pad, because out here they'll deliver anything you want, but you have to pay for 5 yards. I don't want to pay for 5 yards if I'm not getting
5 yards.
5 yards. And so today I went out and dug all the footings for her barn. And so we'll frame them up, and then we'll pour all that together. I'll put the cistern in, run the lines, and then stand the walls for the community building. The trusses will be here next week. So once they get here, I think I'm going to put the walls up without the community, because I can do it pretty easy. Once I get all that sanctioned in, I'll call a community day, and we'll boom the roof, put the plywood on, put the paper on, hopefully put the metal on, and it's fairly weather tight right there. That would at least be my goal. And I had pictures of all this I was going to show you guys. What else do we got out there? Firewood. I'm now 2.5 years of firewood put up, which is pretty exciting for me. So I would not split cut any firewood for 2.5 more years, and I would have enough to live our life, which I think is super, super excited. I don't know. Does any of you guys get excited about prepping firewood? Or am I the only guy that's a big deal too?
Well, it's a big chore.
It's a huge chore.
Your list for the next.
Yeah.
cold season.
Yep. What else? Oh, I have a really special guest in my house right now, actually downstairs as we speak. So Callie Blackwell is here with Jesse. And I don't know, you guys know her. They're staying here at the house for a little bit as they continue on their journey. I was notified this week by another Freesteader out there who said, hey, we're trying to decide between a couple pieces of land, but we are moving to Kansas, which is pretty exciting. That's another one. And what's so interesting about it is in 2023, I went on a mission to go out and build and recruit and to do those things and to try to build the community. And this year I haven't, but not because I don't want to. I haven't because there's enough stuff going on with people building homesteads and all that I don't want to get separated any more than I already am. Let's get them a little bit further and then I'll go back to working on it. But we've still been adding homesteads even without me doing any advertising, really without doing anything. It's the traveling and speaking. It's still, I haven't done a speaking event this year yet. And last year I did 12 and I haven't done one yet. And
no, but we're trying to get the community building up so we can bring people here and we can start teaching them here.
Right.
Do the whole, what is it? Oh my gosh. Academy. That word just boop right out of my brain. The whole academy. Get that.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind of focusing on that and trying to get that.
Well, the truth is I went on the road to speak. I went and did that tour last year in efforts of growing our community.
Yeah.
The goal was accomplished and let's get caught up and then I'll do it again.
Yeah.
But it's all good. Karen says, if I were to buy firewood from guys who cut trees, I'd be sure that it's hardwood. Yeah. All of this wood came off my land. When we dug the pond, that was solid woods. And so we've been still trying to, I still don't have it all processed. But we're getting close, work on a little bit here and a little bit there. Let me see. That's awesome. That's a 2+ year checked off the prep. Yeah. And I'm hoping by the end of the year, I'm up to 4 years because I've still got piles of firewood everywhere. So when we take a tree down, we cut it up, split it, and then it just sits there in a big pile. When I get a free crate, and I've got like 30 crates now.
I don't know how many.
I got a bunch, but they're all full. But if I had empty crates, I would take them down there with a skid load or load all that wood up into the crate and bring it back up and put it back in the pile. But
yeah,
I just don't have enough crates. I'd get excited. Oops. Why does that? I would get excited in your winter weather if you didn't have enough firewood. Right. Good point. The Joey administration announced that they have successfully reduced the numbers crossing the border. I read this, Conserve Friends. It's summer, too hot. They're now flying them in from other countries. Oh. God, I wish I could show you guys these pictures. Like I got pictures of the community building with all the concrete's exposed. All the forms are off. I took a picture of my big firewood pile. It kind of looks like an
amphitheater.
It does.
From the opposite side of the pond when you're looking at it. It looks like a
it
stage
does.
Going up.
Yeah, it does. I'm excited. I think getting that done, and we'll get it done pretty quick. It won't take long to put the building up, but it really gives us more alternatives because right now when we all get together in big groups, we go rent a place.
Yeah.
And it costs money, and then you have to live to their rules. You got to be in at this time, out at this time, and
these days don't work; those days do.
Well, you got to be careful what you're teaching too. I wouldn't want to teach a concealed carry class in one of those buildings, but I'd be glad to teach it out here.
Yeah, there are a couple of places that we go to that we have.
Yeah,
there's people listening.
Yeah,
like the owners of the buildings are there.
Right.
Which we don't talk about anything that we shouldn't be anyway, but
some owners of buildings, as a private business, you should have the right to say what you want to go on in your business.
Yeah.
That's free enterprise. That's the way it's supposed to work. And a lot of them wouldn't want you teaching a concealed carry class, for example. The other thing is that it's hard to go rent a place to go, let's say, and, render lard.
Yeah.
Let's say you wanted to do a tallow class.
Yeah.
To find a place that you could do that in would be rough. But again, by creating that, I think that makes us all a little bit freer and lets us do some of those things. And I'm super excited about it.
Or if somebody wants to drink a beer while they're walking around.
Yeah.
Because I know that was an issue at one event.
Right. Somebody had a beer and the person who owned the building didn't like the idea that someone was walking around with a beer. I'm like, who gives a shit? They caused no problems.
Yeah.
There was no, it wasn't like they were drunk. They were drinking a beer and it was just about some big issue. I don't know. But I'm super excited about having it up. Are you super excited that I got the footings dug for your barn?
I haven't been up there to really look at it. I was kind of in a go. I had to go to your mom's house for the third time this week. When I got back, I was in a hurry. So.
I didn't ask you if you looked at it. I said, "You excited we started digging your footing?"
Oh yeah. I mean, I thought you were asking like what I thought of them. I haven't seen them. So,
Okay.
but no, yes, I'm excited that's going on. It also gave us the opportunity to go through the stuff that the
Mhm.
neighbor caught on fire so that we could kind of
Yep.
weed through that and put some of that stuff
Yep.
back. Some of it was, a little sad because things that belonged to my dad were ruined, or things that belonged to the boys, our kids, were ruined. But we got some of that stuff out of there that was melted, and we're able to put a little bit of rock down between there,
Mhm.
and that made that whole area look better. So now
Yep.
the field is cleaned and we can
Yep.
go about putting the barn up.
Yeah,
And then the cows can have a space for them to eat.
Mhm.
And even if I don't lock them up at night, then they can still have their own piece. Each cow can have their own piece to have.
Yeah.
And typically if they don't come during chore time, I don't feed them any kind of sweet feed or anything anyway. I mean, I want them to be eating grass and hay and stuff. So if they come over, it gives me the opportunity to look at them and
Yeah.
make sure that they're all healthy. Everything looks good. They're all walking okay. They're, acting fine. But at least then, they eat at different rates.
Mhm.
So then they can, the slowest eater can have enough time to eat
Yeah.
her little liter of food.
Well, I think there's more to it than that too, though. We also get to store another 3,000 or 4,000 gallons of water.
Water.
Right. We add to the water storage. You also add to a place to store hay indoors.
Yeah.
Or
And milk.
and
Milk a cow.
firewood. You have a milking station. And so it's going to make
Park
us
my tractor.
that's right. It's going to make us a little bit freer. We just got to get to it and get it done.
Mhm.
It's not a project that I really wanted to start right now, but at the same time, I need concrete poured, and I'm not just going to pour it on the ground, so I might as well get the footing in, right?
Right. And we have 4 cows and 1 stall.
Yeah.
So,
By the way, one more rock says we need to christen the building.
like break a wine
Yeah.
bottle on
Lisa says, how do you christen a building? Bottle of champagne? I think we throw a party. That's what I think.
it. Which building?
Both.
Oh, I think she's talking about the community building.
I like both.
Well, we've had parties all over here.
Not in the barn.
The barn is not up yet.
Not in the community building. We agree
That's
with
not
both
up
of you
either.
guys. We will christen the building. I can assure you of that. All right. Babe, what's on your list? I've been just rambling.
Well, the barn was on the list. Guests. I got a processing date for our beef.
Oh, yeah. Cowboys going to the butcher.
Why
Why aren't you processing it yourself?
Well, because I'm not ready for that yet.
Mhm. Time.
That and my butcher area is kind of not done. I'm still tweaking that with the concrete pad. And yeah.
And one more rock says, yeah, some homemade wine. Amy B says, I was thinking dandelion wine. And Pack Rat says, traditional topping out ceremony with a pine branch nailed to the topmost roof peak. I don't know what that is. It must be a tradition somewhere.
Pine branch nailed to the.
Mm-hmm. We don't have pine trees either. Would a cedar branch work?
It has to be Osage. You have to
Osage.
drill the hole first.
Roger.
I don't know.
What else you got?
The water. We're using the excavator.
Oh yeah.
We're using the excavator.
We had a big heavy rain in my well, which is our primary source of water. Something's leaking into my holding tank because my water's coming out a little dirty. And so tomorrow I'm going to dig up that holding tank, not actually dig it up, but dig around it and try to figure out do I got a break in it somewhere? Does the lid not sealed anymore? What's going on? Because it's buried completely underground. It's a cistern. So tomorrow that will be
we will use the excavator to not only dig the footers for the barn and to put a new frost-free hydrant in, but we will also use it to help the water situation. We were talking about that. If we were on city water and there was any kind of issue with the water, you just call somebody and somebody comes and like
Mhm.
takes care of things, but we have to figure it out ourselves.
Yeah.
If we're up there with the barn trying to
Mhm.
put the frost-free hydrant in and we nick the line,
Mhm.
it's us that has to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And so before he even started digging, I'm like, worst case scenario, if it breaks,
What happens?
what happens?
Mhm.
So, okay, this drains, that drains. Okay. If you nick the line, do you have the parts to fix it? Like extra parts. And this is the extra, this is where the
So
extra parts come in.
And so you guys know, I dug the hole and didn't hit anything.
No, he came like
And
inches from the line where it was. He's like, paints it on the ground. He's like, right here, this is where the line is. And I was like, I don't think it's there. I think it's over to the east more. And he's like, no, I'm pretty sure it's right here. And he like takes paint and he goes spray.
This is so crazy.
Anyways,
Anyway, go
so
ahead.
he paints takes a spray paint and paints down the line where he thinks, like down the road where he thinks this is, or alongside the road.
Mhm.
And I'm like, so I'm standing at the bucket while he's scooping, and I'm just like waiting to see the blue line any minute now. And then he's like stops, and I'm like, okay, now what? And he's like, shovel. I'm like, ah, shit. Okay, shovel. So go, and I start just breaking the dirt along the edge where he had stopped. And he goes, I think it's closer to as high as the right foot. And so I'm like, okay, so down here, but over here. Okay,
Yep.
so I start breaking away the dirt there, and I'm like, here it is. I found the electrical line first.
Yep.
And he's like, okay, there's 2 electrical lines and a water line.
Yep.
And I'm like, how do you remember this stuff? And he's like, there's 2 pumps.
Well, here's
like,
the thing, though. When you, it's easy,
okay.
it's easier to remember where the line is when you're the one that put it in.
I was here when it went in too, but I thought it was still to the east a little bit more. I didn't know it was right on the road. And so, yeah, he found it, and I just broke the dirt away from it, and exposed it. What is it, 2 feet?
Mhm.
And now
So I'll
it's
cut it.
ready
I'll put a
for-
T in it. I'll run a line to the bottom of phosphate hydrant. We'll pop it up in the barn. We'll concrete it so she'll have a well.
You're going to concrete the whole.
Yeah, I'll concrete all the way around it. Yep. So you'll have a faucet from the well inside the barn, inside the entire time, which will make my wife's job easier, which is super important and one of my jobs. By the way, D Design 2C says old timers around here sometimes buried a Bible in the cornerstone. Hey, big kids in the house. Long time no see. How are you, my friend?
The cornerstone of the barn?
Yep. Yep. Gypsy says we're going to swing by in the morning and take a peek at the barn. You should. It took me, how many hours did I spend on it?
Yeah, you should see the mess he's made in the yard. I've not seen you do this before,
Yeah,
so not like this.
I bet I dug the entire footing in 3 hours.
I didn't watch you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was fast.
A 30 by 70 building in about 3 hours. And FYI, Gypsy, I'm going to have some extra time on that machine, and I'm sure we can work it out if you're ready. Better get out there, though, and get it all marked out, right? Hurry, 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 hurry. It's been a while, says Big Kid. When this is going, I was amped tonight. Tracer wires all over our property makes it so much easier to find the lines.
Tracer wires?
Yeah, so they put a particular wire in there, and then you can, with a metal detector, you can detect the wire. That's another thing, babe. You could have gone up with a metal detector and found those electrical lines. Right?
How far down can you metal detect?
Depends
4 feet?
Depends on how good.
And they were 4 feet.
Yeah, it depends on how good the metal detector is, I guess. Dead tired tag. Yeah, I get it, bud. Public
Tracer
buildings,
wire.
1-room schoolhouses. Yeah. Super cool. So anyway, we've undug the line.
Yep.
It's run in there, and I got the footings dug. And so we'll form up the footings inside the holes that I dug. We'll pour concrete. We'll get the water line in there, and then we'll live to fight another day.
And then we're going to dig up the cistern.
That's tomorrow.
And we're going to make lots of videos
Yeah.
so that people also know when you have this issue, like what's the fix.
Yeah. Tomorrow, so I got to dig up the cistern, and then I'm going to run some of the plumbing lines for the community building. over to one of the Airbnbs so that it can share the electrical line and the
Yeah.
water line, so they can share systems.
Did you decide? Are you going to use the excavator to dig through the woods?
I got to look at the
commute?
path. I'm worried about breaking a window in an excavator. You ever had that happen?
Oh, yes. And I don't think you should break windows. So yeah, we would have to make tunnels through the tree branches so that you can go exactly through them.
Well, it's not just going exactly. You got to pick it up and swivel and dump it.
Oh
You got to
crap!
pick it up and swivel.
You do.
I know. Life is so complicated for you.
Yeah, too bad you can't like throw it over there.
Cotton candy, rainbows, and fairy farts. That's the
And
world my
excavators that
my
throw
wife
dirt
lives
to the
in.
side.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
else-
but
what else
you're
you got?
right. That would totally. You would have to have a large path through the woods. That's about it.
Anyone going to the McMurray Fest in Iowa this weekend? I would love to go, but I am buried. I can't get out. There's we have here in Kansas what's called the OG Camp Out that's going on this weekend.
Oh, right.
So we'll drive out there on Saturday and just hang out a little bit, but and just say hi. But I would love to go to one of those McMurray Fests. Midwest Rabbi. Big Kid says have more people here now, so more work and stuff going on all the time. Some people actually understand what's coming. Better late than never. Hey everybody, let's give Big Kid a big congratulations. He's found community. They're building community, which is what we should all be doing because community is more important than water. I promise you this is true.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Big Kid. Mike has a locator for finding plumbing and such. Yeah, I need to have one of them. Yeah, thanks, Midwest Rabbi. We're going to try to have a good time. I just don't have time anymore, and I'm racing around trying to get these done. Any of you guys feel like you're chasing this invisible clock? Because I feel it like all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm always chasing it.
Oh, did you see what Mo said?
Yeah. The Amish auction. So if you guys remember, I did a
put it in my calendar.
I did a video on it. The Amish auction on July the 3rd, 4th, but I can't go on the 3rd. So I can go on the 4th, but I can't go on the 3rd. FYI. But anyway, that big Amish auction is coming up in Missouri on July the 3rd and the 4th. Nito said yes, tag all the time. I'm good. I'm not the only one that feels that because
Man, it's on the 3rd and the 4th. They're doing it on the 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that weird?
I would rather celebrate Independence Day by going to an Amish auction and looking for ways to get freer than I would to pay taxes on fireworks to demonstrate that I like to be free.
Yeah. That's true.
That's true.
You got a point.
Big Kid says
smart.
that clock moves faster and faster and faster the older you get. Yeah, I feel an immense amount of pressure to get prepared, an immense amount of pressure to be ready, an immense amount of pressure to put infrastructure in. So I just can't help it. I just feel it all the time. Me tag, I can't see news fast enough. I just feel the need to move my timeline up a lot. I'm trying to. I am trying to, but the problem is nobody do it but me. You know, and so you just got to go and just do the best you can, you know, every single day. But all right, guys, let's 2 hours, 2 minutes. We need to get the heck out of here. LJC says, try juggling 2 homesteads 900 miles away, 4 kids at home, and we each have full-time jobs. Nope, you're tougher than I am. You are 100% tougher than I am. The Rainbow Festival in Oklahoma this week, Pride Heart Rainbow Philly. Yeah, if I don't have time for the McMurray one, I don't have time for the Rainbow Festival, that's for sure. But anyway, you got anything you want to say before you leave?
Keep a positive attitude. Don't be a poop head.
That should be a B shirt. Don't be a poop head.
Well,
Yeah.
I was just trying to keep it, polite.
Yeah. Well, I think don't get distracted. You know, it's perfectly fine to keep up on what's going on. I do it every single Friday, but, I think we need to stay focused on what we're doing and try to get out there and make a difference every day, and, there's a little sign in my truck in my rearview mirror that says, are you proud of your efforts today? And it just reminds me to do all I can every single day and just to try to get a little bit ahead each single. See me so like I'm talking
They
in a
can,
tunnel.
they can hear you though.
Oh,
Keep
it's fine.
talking.
Yeah, and I think One More Rock said it great. We're under attack, and we got to get prepared, and we need to get out of the reach of them and out of that stroke, because no matter how many beans and bullets you put up, no matter how many of those kind of things are, if they can hold you hostage by all the things you have to ask permission for, what good was any of it anyway? And so don't get distracted is my parting words. We love you guys. We'll see you on Friday. Hopefully my internet's better By then,
Be out.
yep, tag out. See you guys.
Hold the line.